One thing that I love about TikTok that I feel like it provides to me as a creator is, like Jamie said, it's like a playground where we can play, but also it's like where you can test things out or see how you feel about the content you're creating.
Being limitless is knowing your success and your growth are built on a radical belief in yourself. Limitless is honoring your purpose, your health, and impact above all else. Limitless is never playing small because the more alive you feel in your life, the more growth and success you attract. Hi, my name is Jamie Ratterman, and I am a holistic business coach, meaning I am just as invested in growing your health as I am in growing your wealth. With 11 plus years in brand and social media marketing, I help rebellious entrepreneurs master marketing, embody leadership, and say fuck it to the hustle. This show is here to encourage you to become more radically aware of your self-imposed limits, to break free of your shoulds, and to expand your brand into a movement led by you. Hello, lovelies. Welcome to episode 42 of the Limitless Podcast. I am overjoyed today because I get to geek out on everything that's coming with content planning with one of my favorite people in the world. Nicholette Hilbrich is here with me today. Let me fully introduce you to who Nicholette is, or at least who she is to me, and she'll let you know all about how amazing she is as well. Nicholette is a client of mine. She's also another sprint leader. I've been a client of hers. So in general, I've gotten to see everything and how passionate she is in her business. But what I love most about Nicholette is that she is somebody who wants to help people feel more of themselves when they are sharing on social media, that she wants to help people get more creative, enjoy video content, which you all know by now that I've been talking about how video content can be fantastic and how it can be really helpful. She is somebody who has built her Instagram following doing, can I say zany? Let's call it zany videos where she's showing different ways in which you can double, triple yourself, talk to, oh yeah, but also being able to kind of inject the fun that content planning can be. And we're going to get into that today, but I'm asking Nicholette today to share with all of my Limitless listeners our content predictions for 2023. But first, most importantly, Nicholette, welcome to the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Jamie Jame. I call Jamie Jame. Just so you know, if you hear me saying that, I'm so excited to be here. Hello, everyone. I'm Nicholette Hilbrich. I'm a video content producer and coach, and also, as Jamie said, a sprint leader. And I empower you to show up as your true self in video content and, you know, both in front of and behind the camera. And I'm really passionate about instilling more joy and creativity and balance within your content creation process. And in general, acceptance on social media, burning down that concept of Instagram versus reality and just inviting more love and encouragement and positivity and support across the board into this world that we are thriving in.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So I think what I think is always important to talk about, and why I love what Nicholette does, is that when people wonder why somebody's videos are just like, there's something about them that makes it just magnetic or makes it go viral or in general feels like it's a vibe, it's usually because that's who they are. The people who are putting on these masks, and don't get me wrong, it's like putting on a mask because like you feel uncomfortable doing something on camera and doing those things, that stuff is true. It's hard. And sometimes it can be easier to be an alter ego, which again, all these are steps. But what I love with Nicholette is that being able to have not only a coach who can like walk you through when you're doing it for yourself, she's also helping people do that through video shoots and allowing them to really see what the experience can be, which is amazing. But I think there's something to be said about you got here through your own journey of figuring out how you wanted to be online. So can you give us just a bit of a background of what brought you to entrepreneurship and what brought you to the love of video content?
Oof. Well, I chose entrepreneurship because I have always kind of chosen the road less traveled. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and I was known many times for who they were, not for who I was. And so that led me to making pretty big life decisions that were out of the norm, I guess you could
Breaking the
say.
mold, breaking the
Yes,
mold.
exactly. And that, one of those decisions was bringing me to university in Switzerland. And that is where I started experimenting with video. Actually, at the time, there were a whole bunch of YouTube videos out of they're like montagey, normally like a woman is the subject and they're like in a tropical place with a tropical song, and they were like so hype and cool. And I was like, I could do that. I want to do that. So I started filming and creating and telling the story of my travels and my experiences through video and sharing that with friends and family. Like, I did it solely for myself. This was not a part of any class assignment. And that's where I fell in love with creating video content. And, upon being an entrepreneur and being on social media, I, found my way to reels and short form video content. And, my journey throughout that led me to falling in love with short form video content and exploring the different ways to share who I am and share my story through that.
I love that. I think what's fun is that during COVID, Nicholette decided to, what do we call it, a camper van, or what would you call it?
Yes. It's a trailer. It's a travel trailer is the term. But sometimes when I say trailer, people are like, oh, you were like living in a trailer. And I'm like, so I say camper because that's what most people would understand. But yeah, I traveled across the Southwest living in that with my two dogs, and who I love so much. One is at my feet right now. And I was able to do a similar thing that I did in Switzerland, was capturing my experiences and sharing them and getting creative in ways like Jamie mentioned, the seeing triple, tripling myself on the camera.
And
I just
dancing.
really
I gotta say, the
played.
dance moves in this one
Oh,
are
yeah.
very good.
I mean, I know how to get down. What can I say?
I just love it because I think it's important for me. Whenever I really got to know Nicholette, was realizing that she was creating this really high quality video, really dynamic video while she was traveling. So go figure, she is somebody that I have loved as a client because I know she can help so many of you, but also being able to have her as a sprint leader because she's pretty freaking amazing. So of course, all this conversation comes down to, we know a lot about content. We know a lot about what's happening. I definitely get into the sciencey algorithms, like how to make content planning easier. Nicolette's going to geek out on telling us about how video is going to change and also talk about how to brand yourself. So today's episode is all about our 2023 predictions, what we think is going to allow you, if you decide to be an early adopter, to jump on in, to really refocus the way you create for your business, or, if you're deciding to be a creator online, how you can do that to grow, to build a community, to, of course, make money off of the content you create and having fun while you're doing it. So we're going to get into our predictions. We both have been talking about all of this for a little while, but I want to let Nicholette kick us off. Nicholette, what's one of your first predictions for 2023 when it comes to content planning?
Oh, it's my favorite thing in the whole wide world is crispy videos, high quality, really upping the sharpness of the content that you're sharing. And when I say high quality, yes, I mean visually, but also both, or also strategically, also within the kind of value that you're sharing and how you're showing up, the energy that you're sharing. So in general, yeah, use your back camera, guys. Use your back camera.
So this is what I love about this. It's also crispy video, meaning like you're really able to have a focal point. Like people can see it. It's not just something that someone threw together. And I think what's important about this is that we've gotten to a point where many of you, or all of the people that are on Instagram wanting to use it, even on our other platforms, TikTok, YouTube, we'll get into that in just a moment. We're using video content, but how do you stand out from everybody else who's doing that? It's having a good understanding of your camera. like a good understanding of what happens in there. And, I am absolutely an Apple person, and I buy the new camera, and my own fiance would be like, did you know you could bring down the brightness before you take that photo? Did you know that you could do these things? And I'm sitting here, dropping cash for these really amazing camera features, and then I don't fully use them. So like Nicholette was saying, being crispy means being able to like play with lighting. Being crispy means being able to know how you can have the highest quality video. So like you already said, use your back camera. What's like a couple of things that can help people who are right now using their selfie video, using their front facing video, and in general creating content? How can they make some small shifts so they can get a little crispier with their video content?
Yeah. So first and foremost, when you're in your phone's camera, and I'm speaking to the iPhone because I too am an Apple person, though I'm sure there's ways to do it on the other phones out there, is at the top right of your screen, there's an option to click on 4K and 60 frames per second. It might say HD or 30, just tap on those and change it to 4K and 60 frames per second. And that captures a lot more detail within the videos you're taking. And frames per second, a video is made up of a bunch of photos all put together essentially. So by upping that number, you're upping the amount of images within the video, which makes it more fluid. It's easier to slow down, incorporate that slow-mo, which people love. And, within that, there's some exporting things that I could talk about too, because Instagram doesn't want you to upload a 4K video, nor does TikTok. So there's some more things I could share in regards to that too.
So why do you think that Instagram doesn't want you to put up the 4K video, just out of curiosity?
The speed of the platform. A 4K video does capture more detail, but because of that, it's a larger file size and it's harder to load on phones. And they want, being on Instagram, nobody wants to sit around waiting for a video to load, that kind of thing. So they like it in the 9:16, the 1080 by 1920 ratio. Same with TikTok.
Oh my gosh, I love this. So in general, these are just this tip here is something about just how, what your camera settings, basic camera settings. What's another way to create crispy video? Because I know for me, something that I've been learning and trying my best is to get rid of my and being able to I'll take a deep breath at the beginning of my videos and being able to think about what does me as the subject, what can I do to get it a little bit, I just want to keep saying it, crispier. How can I be a crispier subject when it comes to delivering the content when I turn on record?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's two routes to this, and it depends where you're at with and how comfortable you are, talking to the camera. You can either write out a whole kind of script to read from or to have as reference on the side. Or you can, my personal favorite, just outline bullet points. So you know what your hook is going to be, your main topics, your call to action, and then you can just speak more fluidly. Is that
perfect? It's in flow. I like exactly.
Yes, speak more fluidly. And then editing. I mean, I personally this is the thing, right? Whatever path you take and how you create this kind of content is different for everyone. So what I'm saying is what works for me. But personally, I enjoy writing that outline and speaking in flow, not necessarily worrying about how I'm saying things. I'm just speaking authentically. And then you can always go in and edit, chop out those repetitive phrases. Like Jamie mentioned, cut out that pause you take at the beginning, any pauses you take throughout, keep your audience engaged by eliminating that waiting time for them.
So yeah, absolutely. This is why it's worth your time, is that usually when we have the ahs, pauses, those type of pieces, we end up like wanting to leave the video. So one of my own predictions is that we're going to hear this term for engagement a lot more, watch time. So how can you not keep people around, not only for the first 3 seconds, because that's when you have that hook, you're bringing people in, but keeping them around for the 30 seconds, for the 45 seconds, for the 3 minutes, depending on if you're using TikTok or not. But being able to consider how can you have the longest watch time, because it's going to allow you to go viral more often. It's going to allow you to get more reach, but also you want to be this dynamic brand. So within this, like, this is where, like, my prediction within why video quality is going to be a big deal is that, like, being more of a brand vibe in your video is going to be important. So what does that mean? Less trends. I know that sounds insane. Like, less like lip syncing, less just like all the only kind of video you do is trending sounds. Being able to have a variety that shows like what your vibe or your brand is. So for me, that might look like sharing a little more inspirational day in the life type of video, especially over on the gram. Being able to really know how you can be identifiable in the feed. So I was sharing this during my recent Reels challenge that I hosted in my Facebook group, and I was just talking about, like, you don't have to go all over the world to try to create early dynamic video. You can create a corner of your apartment or an area where you always work out that just shows that, like, oh, this is a person who's got a brand, got a business. And that could be by having the right colors. Most of my apartment is blue, go figure. But like being able to just have key elements for when somebody's swiping through the Reels feed that goes, oh, I've seen this face before, or, oh, I've seen this thing before. Oh, I love the way they put these videos together because they're soothing, or they're activating, or they're energizing. So taking this all to this next level is being able to really understand how to represent your brand visually, in addition to like what you're saying as well.
Yeah. Honing your video style and having it be recognizable. And I think where that comes into play is figuring out what your routine is in order for it to be sustainable. And so you can batch those things when you set up your little zone on your couch or whatever it may be, and being able to play and have fun with that as you do it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this brings us, we're fully in agreement on this next prediction, is that more now than ever, having a sustainable content creation routine is going to be important. So sustainable meaning you're not worrying about it every day. Sustainable meaning you're not overcomplicating it. Sustainable meaning, how in the hell can I have the most fun with this, so that being visible is something that's just a part of my day, not something I'm forcing myself to do. So, clearly Nicholette and I run the sprints. We love a good batch. We love, and even to be honest, when I asked Nicholette if she wanted to join me with the sprint, she's like, I don't batch too much. And then after a little while, she goes, batching is really great. So
True.
One way I'm looking at sustainability when it comes to this is choosing a day that is your video filming day. Like I'm already looking at my schedule and can I give myself like Monday 4 hours to like have just the time to do long short form video, what that can look like. What's one way that you think that we can create a more of a sustainable video creation routine, or even like content creation as a whole?
Yeah. I mean, playing off of what you said within that time block there of your filming day, is breaking it up into 3 different pieces, which is something I teach in my Keeping It Real program, is breaking up your creation process into 3 sections. Like the first one, it's your ideation phase. You're maybe scrolling for inspiration, but maybe you're just like not scrolling for inspiration, and you're sourcing those ideas from within your beautiful, value, glorious brain. And, that's like the ideation batching phase. And then the second phase is filming, getting all of that content actually filmed and done. And the third phase being those final touches, editing, adding text, maybe writing out your caption, and doing all of those phases at optimal times for you. Like you're not forcing yourself to film when you haven't showered and you just got in a fight with your mom or your sibling and you're just like not feeling great and you're anxious or whatever it looks like. Like maybe that's the day that you don't do any of those phases, or that's the day that you just do the final touches, like listening to your body and your mind space and optimizing when those, sessions are for yourself, so that you're able to have fun with it and begin to associate more of a positive relationship with content creation as you're doing it.
Yes, absolutely. So what I love about what you're saying is, in general, our relationship to social media, if we have the ability to make it positive, we do. We have the ability to realize that if we create and we share, in general, there's a lot of studies that say if you share more often on social, you have a more positive experience versus if you're scrolling. So that's one side of this. But also what Nicholette is explaining here is creating an absolutely sacred space for your creativity. Like it's a ritual. It's absolutely a ritual. So being able to know that, like, if you want to try something a little funky and do, and just like you've been really wanting to try different things, like how can you decide, okay, you know what, Wednesdays are my days, or Thursdays are my days to do that. And then, do not disturb is on, and you have your 3 ideas that you want to accomplish, and not feeling like it is this chore of, oh, I got to get it up today. I got to get this post up today. Being able to have some type of really kind ritual routine that allows you to do these things. And then there might still be a day where you're like feeling in flow and you just want to share off the cuff, and that's totally fine. But having batching is going to allow you to really inject your creativity a lot more. And for all my business owners who, we're doing multiple things, allowing that to be a time that nobody can book calls, that the reasons why you're doing this is going to only help you build awareness and more visibility in your business. So being able to, one, break it up into pieces, get grounded and love that space, as well as like really doing a favor for your future self. Because anytime I have a week's worth of content, just a week, I'm just like, oh, I'm a fucking badass bitch. I've got my stuff figured out. Versus if I'm like, do I have time today to fit in a time to post and do this thing? It absolutely just is. It's two different feelings. And especially with video content, it's not as easy to just throw it up. You want to have an opportunity to kind of build and create with this, like the vibe that we're going for. I think the second thing within this too, though, is I want people to simplify the way they create content, like simplify it so much more. I think for many of us, we get into the weeds, me included. Any of you who have listened to my longer pods, you know that I think deeply about all of these subjects, and I want to share all of that online. But being able to simplify it in 2 ways. One, I want to remind everyone of the shits and giggles posts. The shits and giggles post is what I'm going to coin when you just want to show something fun that you did. So no matter what brand or biz you're in, you can do a multi-cut of the weekend that you had and share about how you enjoy your weekends, because that's only going to create visibility and people are going to kind of know who you are, what your background is. If you decide to do that weird trend that you don't know if it's going to relate to your business, but you just want to do it, allow that to be a part of it. So what's lovely about how the algorithms are changing is that this whole crap about niching down, all of that stuff. No, like if you have the right keywords and SEO a part of it, and in general, you're building community within that, you can have every once in a while the off the cuff that doesn't perfectly fit into the content strategy that you have, other than I just want to be visible. I want to feel good. I want to share this. So for shits and giggles, this thing is inspiring me. Let me post it up. I'm going to get into SEO, but let me know, Nicholette, what would be a shits and giggles post for you?
I have a lot of shits and giggles posts. I've made a lot in my day. A recent one is a fun little Halloween transition, and from being in like regular clothing into your Halloween outfit, or like a funny, relatable voice dub about drinking too much coffee. Like it's just fun and playful. And one thing I wanted to share as you were talking, Jamie, was I know I've heard many of my clients say this to me in regards to this kind of content, or more lifestyle content, and the shits and giggles ones, is like, well, like, is anybody really going to care? Like, is anybody really going to care? Like, do people care about what I did on the weekend, that I went to the beach and, played in the sand? And the answer is, it's not about whether anyone is going to care.
They will care. Yes, they will care.
It's like, that's like, like what? No, that's not even a question to ask yourself, because you're sharing who you are. You're sharing more of your life. And that's what social media is there for. That's what social media is there for originally, is connecting on that level and being a human being. And that's, people buy from people. We know this.
People buy from people, people connect with humans. I mean, that's a reason why all of this is there. But I think what I love most about, specifically if we're talking about video, even photography in this realm, if we're sharing these parts of us in some way, is that we're showing instead of telling. So the people who are only doing tips and tricks, there's nothing wrong with that. It's education, it's value. But what if you could show how to take a break? What if you could show how to enjoy and get away from your desk if that's something that's on you? What if you can show your meal prepping routine? Or what if you can just in general show what it looks like to just have this balance, and like also why when you are working, what you're working for, to enjoy your life, to build wealth around those things. Like all of this is showing. And it's kind of like, what are you more likely to do? Most people love to watch a TV show, a movie, more than reading books. I love books. I'm not saying anything about it, but in general, we like to see and get inspired by others. And that's exactly what social media can be. It can be a form of escapism, inspiration, and education. So being able to know that you don't always have to take this expert role, but you get to show how you live, or, like practice what you preach what you practice, being able to do those things. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. Can I add something quickly to that?
Of course.
I think many times, and I also speak for myself, that we forget to practice what we preach. So in this sense, it's also like reminding you and encouraging you to do that. And then somewhat on like the flip side of things, maybe that practicing what you preach, let's say it's like meditation in the morning, for example, maybe that's something that's very sacred to you and you don't necessarily want to whip out your phone and record you doing that and like in your Instagram story and then have to post it right away. Well, you don't have to do that. You can take out your phone's camera and just record it on the side. You forget about it. You do your thing. Who cares how long the video is, right? You can always go back and edit that and post it later. And I think that's a big part of creating more sustainability and balance within your routine, is finding ways to capture those moments and not have it take away. Exactly. Document those moments and not have it take away from them.
Absolutely. Like even recently, I was just thinking about how, what if I just turn my camera on while I'm like tying my shoes to go to the gym, and I can post why that's important, and like really just reducing this like, again, it's this over complication, but realizing that like your life is shareable. Whatever you decide you get to decide that, like what areas of your life, but something as simple as exactly what she's saying, like being able to just to document your life in a lot of ways can be so supportive. The other piece of this is SEO. So last week from this recording, I did an SEO masterclass because I think this is going to be a big old skill. It's going to be talked about all damn year next year, because every single platform has now, if they didn't already, is shifting over to SEO. Thank you, TikTok. Thank you, Google. I can run through the reasons, which I will in a moment, but the key reason and why this relates to sustainability is that SEO encourages you to not overcomplicate. So like, SEO is about how can your ideal client search and find you? Basics. How can you think of keywords? How can you think of content subjects that people are likely looking for based off of the service or product you provide? So examples here, if I'm somebody who wants to get fit and I don't want to spend so much money on takeout, how can myself as a meal prep coach be like, what's the simplest way that I can encourage people? Okay, 3 chicken recipes that help that take 30 minutes or less. Like, yeah, for somebody who's been meal prepping forever, that might seem like, oh, okay, that's basic. Yes, go back to basics, because that's what people are going to search for. Or if I'm a product-based business had someone who makes these almost like very beautiful paper flowers, and she was thinking about how that related. I'm like, how can you beautify someone's desk? How can you help someone like love their space and based off of their color palette? I already sent her a mood board, so she's going to create like a flower for me, which I'm really excited about. But in general, like
I want that.
thinking about how you can help people and like what are they searching for and how can you think about your content a little bit differently. I'll put that in the show notes because the replay is available for anybody, but it was really fun to just see people go like, oh wow, this just makes it easier. I don't feel like I have to come up with something brand new. Quick like, notes here. This is because of TikTok. TikTok beat Google in 2021 and they shook in their boots. What I mean by beat them, TikTok was the top domain for a month in 2021. I think they're battling it out every single month. And Google's like, what? Wait, hold on. We've always been the king of where people go to first. So this is why Instagram's seeing like, oh wait, there's potential for us to beat Google, beat search engine optimization for people to use our platform that way. So two important things happened. Google opened their search results to bring up social media posts. So if you anything you're posting on Instagram and TikTok now can come up in a Google search feed. It wasn't able to do that before, but also all of the SEO practices that people use on Google, they're bringing into TikTok. People, Gen Z in general, 40% of them are saying they use TikTok first before they use Google when they're trying to figure out how to do something. So imagine the discoverability that you have for your business just by going, okay, how can I use SEO in the way that I create content? And I swear it's easy. People make it sound like it's a demon or devil. It's absolutely just, how can you simplify it and think about what people are searching to help and find you? See, I went on a tangent. It was beautiful. So yes, sustainability within your content is really important. Is there anything else around that? Because we could go for ages, but of course we have the sprints every Wednesday that help you create that sacred space, which is a big piece of why I love this, and be able to think about those things specifically. But is there anything else around that when it comes to sustainability?
I think in general, just playing. I literally wrote down, one of my notes here was like, something that I think is going to change or I hope will change for many business owners in 2023 is, instead of social media feeling like a chore kind of thing, it more so feels like a playground in a very literal sense. Like, think about what happens on a playground. We play, we try new things, we take risks, we make new friends, we build relationships. Like, social media can be a playground, just like a playground was when we were kids. And just inviting that relationship into your atmosphere.
Yes, I was someone who sprinted for the swings whenever I was a kid. So it relates to how I'm ready to dive into all of this stuff too. I feel like I love the analogy of a playground. If we use it as a playground, we don't need to take it so seriously. The more that we show up, the better we're going to get at it. But also, like, this is supposed to be fun. This is absolutely supposed to be fun. So what is another prediction? What is another prediction you have for 2023?
We already talked about crispy content. I mean, we touched a little bit on the whole trend scenario and how that's definitely, not just hopping on trends is a prediction for 2023 and incorporating more of your world into your content. And I think within that, a prediction for 2023 is montagey inspirational content on Instagram, talk to camera, like across the board kind of content on TikTok. By across the board, I mean like on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and savable content within that talk to camera, or just tip driven content.
I love that.
Savable. Saves. We want the
savable content. You're bringing up so many things. So let's first focus on savable content, and then we'll come back to what I'm going to call the war of the video platforms. But in general, what makes something savable? This is us talking about engagement here. So engagement can look like, likes, comments, saves, shares. Each has its own benefits. The like being the least helpful and trying to understand who's engaging with you. But in general, there's nothing wrong with it. But what makes what makes a piece of content more savable than anything else?
The digestibility, me and my words today. I'm happy I'm pronouncing them right, not
Easily
fumbling.
digestible. Absolutely.
Easily digestible. Yeah. Succinct, like straightforward, not overcomplicating. And this kind of goes back to one of the tips I shared earlier with crispy content in general, is like not repeating yourself. And it's natural to, and sometimes we don't realize that we're doing it, but cutting out any repetitive phrases so that whatever this piece of content is that you're sharing, whatever the value is that you're sharing, I get it. And I don't need to overcomplicate it in my brain because you said it two different ways.
Totally. Totally. So I feel for me, like that when we're talking about easily digestible, think about the simplest tip you can give. Like I think there's one thing for experts or people who've been doing what they've been doing for a long time. They end up feeling like, oh, people know how to do, like, for instance, people know they need to use their back camera. Nah, no, people don't know that. Or even like for me, like I like people don't realize that you can do saved replies and personalize them in your Instagram DMs. And I'm like, oh, okay, there's something I can screen record to make it simple. Even too, I think this is an easy way of seeing this online already, is how quote unquote social media gurus. I hate when people call themselves gurus. Sorry, I couldn't not say it. But the social media gurus who do the trend reports, like the trends are a simple thing as far as them showing their expertise. No, they're providing an actionable resource, which makes it digestible, which makes it savable. So being able to think about when you are, if the goal is savable content, how can someone watch it or read it and immediately use it or want to come back and re-reference it later? So think about action-oriented places. Inspiration is always going to be helpful, and people can save that content, but something that someone's like, oh, I've been wanting to create better video, or, oh, I've been wanting to try this recipe, they're going to be more likely to save that. And savable content has a lot of lives. So for instance, when somebody clicks save on any of the platforms, it tells a lot to the algorithm that they love that type of content, but also it means that they're deciding that they're going to engage with that content more than once. So they see it in the feed. They're like, I'm going to come back to it. That type of data only helps the algorithm know what kind of things you want to see in your feed. So making it savable, bite-sized, easy to apply, I think is a big deal.
And I think this, even what I'm about to share, relates back to making things more sustainable in itself. Is, for example, what I mentioned earlier about the camera, the little tip I shared about camera, changing the settings to be 4K, and then I mentioned there's export settings, like there's a whole next step, I guess you could say. I could smush that all into one piece of content and share all of that value in one long reel. But instead, if I break up what those tips are, that's more posts, more sustainable, showing up more consistently, and it's not overwhelming my audience. I'm giving them bit by bit so they can take that first step of filming in 4K, get used to that, get used to changing the settings, and then be able to take the next step when I share the next tip. And even this is relating to another prediction within itself, is series in that sense of savable content. Like, it makes people want to come back to get whatever that next step is, and encourages them to take the first step, preparing for the next one. I love series. I'm about them.
Yeah, TikTok has a better like user ability with series, which I heavily recommend as a growth strategy for anyone who has lots of they want to give a couple of tips. Make it a series. Like, here's part 1 of how to update your dating profile, and we're gonna go step by step here. And that I've seen that work over and over again, and I am encouraged to stick around too. So I think that especially for TikTok, because it's a little bit harder to get people as invested, because the For You page gives you the kind of content you want. How can you encourage them to stick along with you? The series is a big deal. Instagram, it's starting to come over, but the difference between TikTok and Instagram in this realm is that TikTok at some point you're able to create a playlist for any series that you create. Instagram, it's not there yet. So that's the a little bit of the difference in there. But I think this is like alluding to something I want to predict. So I'm going to,
I have series on Instagram.
I have series on like IGTVs. You have it for a reel specifically?
It's on my Reels tab.
Oh, okay. Listen to that. Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
they're working it in there.
They're making their way. They're like, okay, TikTok's doing it. Let me do it too.
Story of their life.
The other piece I want to jump into is that we're going to hear a lot about YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram. So I so deeply want to put Pinterest in there, but they just got rid of their creator fund. I don't know I'm not 100% sure what they're thinking about over there, but hopefully I know that links are coming and stuff, but we're going to, as far as the platforms that I think we're going to hear a lot about is going to be those three: YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. So from a creator's perspective, YouTube has the best creator fund. Hands down. And now they're including YouTube Shorts. So YouTube Shorts is their 1 minute Reels TikTok like video, and it's getting more plays than any of their longer form content. So knowing that, it's funny, when I first was looking at YouTube Shorts, it was a lot of movie clips and different people's podcasts, and now I'm seeing all the creators like usher their way over there. So just to give you, for instance, this is the viral type of content. Like TikTok it still has that capability. I'm not saying that it's not, but in general, they're giving a lot of views for very low follower count. So I believe like 4 mighty subscribers over here on YouTube. But I'm getting at least 100 to 200 views on any of my YouTube Shorts. So knowing that can be a really strong place, and it's so SEO forward that the shelf life of those, my podcast editors were like 1,000 views in general. I'm getting 1,000 views on my YouTube Shorts. So just reiterating that. But what it is that the shelf life of a YouTube Short or any kind of YouTube video is as long as people are interested in that kind of content. It comes up in Google results. It's fantastic. But when we're talking about how these all play together, I see TikTok as the most informal, most personable. Talk to camera is still a big deal over there, where I think that Instagram is starting to pull into their curation again. That I'm seeing a lot more inspirational, like vibey type of video, and there's nothing wrong with that. But knowing that as the trends aren't as important as they were before, being able to show more like what your behind the scenes of your business is, and being able to do multi-cut video, that's going to be really helpful over on the gram. And it's still, again, all of this can be repurposed, but the big difference is like on YouTube, you're not going to have the audios to choose from. So they give music, but it cuts off after about, 15 seconds because of copyright. They're very strict about their copyright over there. And then so what that means is that your talk to cameras, your tips driven stuff is going to do really great because you're talking to camera. It's going to be your voice. You own that. TikTok mixture, but being able to know that you don't have to like be off the cuff and TikTok is just so fun. I like it a lot. But within that, Instagram gets to be a place that you can do a little bit of both. But I've just been noticing, at least for me in the past 3 months, talk to camera just doesn't have as much virality as some of these other inspirational, very quick shot type of posts.
Yeah. And I kind of want to share in regards to like using Instagram and TikTok and how to use them both. There's many things I could say about this, but one thing that I love about TikTok that I feel like it provides to me as a creator is, like Jamie said, it's like a playground where we can play, but also it's like where you can test things out or see how you feel about the content you're creating. For example, I just shared a little video of a cute bee that I filmed like months ago that I found the footage recently. I shared it on TikTok and I didn't really know what message to put with it. It was a high quality video. So I was like, I like this. I'm going to share it. And I didn't put any text on it. And I just wrote up like a random little caption, like, here's this cute little bee. And now after sharing that, I'm like, okay, it didn't perform wildly well. When I share it on Instagram, maybe I should like find a cute quote or something to put on top of it when I share it on Instagram. So you can even take from your playing on TikTok to improve the content that you share on Instagram, not necessarily like strictly based on how they're performing, but like how you feel about the piece of content in itself.
Totally.
Personally,
Absolutely.
I feel that.
Absolutely. I have one more prediction, and I think we'll have to do a part 2 to this.
I
I
know
know
I'm looking at the time and I'm like,
we have
shit,
so much
man.
more to talk about. So
Shit.
I feel there's a part 2 coming. We'll have to ask everyone who listened to this episode, if you want a part 2, DM me and Nicholette. We'll continue to share these because we geek out on
You
all
want
this
it.
stuff. I think the last thing, and I think really I want to make sure we finish it off with this prediction, is that for entrepreneurs specifically, building a business, using your content online, this is definitely going to be the age where you do not want to be the overseller. If you are selling right now on every single post, I am happy to inform you, or I'm so sorry to let you know that the way in which you've been using social media is not the way in which the platforms are going to give you more reach. It's not the way in which we engage with it. So I always find this to be, let's talk about simplifying content. Social media is meant to be social first. So if right now every single post is pushing people to link in bio, pushing people to buy, I want you to realize that that is not getting trust. It's like a car salesman on social. We naturally don't trust car salesmen. Like there's a thing to it. So when someone's only selling, we're just kind of going like, they seem like they're really hungry for money or whatever it might be, but also the algorithm has taken note of it. So TikTok in general, people don't use the words link in bio because that usually will be a sign to TikTok to not give them as much reach. But the reason why these are changing is that across the board, anytime that somebody mentions the word link in bio or buy here, the reach is lower. The people engage much less. So the opportunity here is instead, how can you build trust through getting people to comment on your posts? How can you build trust through, in general, getting people to love your vibe by showing up and being more visible? So if you decide to do that, let's say 3 or 4 posts, that 4th or 5th post can be a direct sell, building off of what you did before, but thinking about it in a different way. Like DM me if you're interested in the program can be a different way to say it, or comment below if this is something you're looking for in your business or something you're looking for in your self-care routine. And the people who are interested have a very low bar that they're like, yeah, I'm interested. And you can start that conversation in the DMs. What happens aside from asking for it is that the more you can really hit on these other points we've been talking about, visibility being a vibe, people will naturally go to your link in bio. But also, at least on the gram, your highlights and your stories are going to be your top place to be able to direct sell and share a lot of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, one thing I love that Instagram has come out with in relation to this, which I don't know if they've rolled it out to everyone, but the little send, when you post something, you can toggle on the like send message button
I
on
love
your
that.
posts.
Yeah.
Which I love. Like, I love it. And I think it can be used in a way to talk to people about your programs, for example, but also just in a way to start conversations. Like you don't need to only add that button if you're promoting something. Like add that button to just start conversations about whatever value you shared in that post and be able to build those relationships.
This is what it is. Relationships based selling. I've shared this in a previous episode before, but connection first. Connection is always going to come first. Nicholette, thank you so much for sharing your predictions with us today. Again, I think that one thing to know is that Nicholette and I geek out on this, on our themes every sprint. So if you are looking for, like, even what she was sharing about crispy video, she did a whole 10-minute theme training before we jumped into the sprint that people were raving about. So if you are interested in getting that kind of support, we'll drop them in the show notes because that community is on fire. I love it so much.
And too, I want to just throw in there, perfect way to start incorporating more of a sustainable routine. Maybe the sprints are like your dedicated time to ideate. Is that a verb? Here I am with my English words.
There's English words. I didn't know you were going to give us something in a different language.
I need a dictionary, I think.
Ideate is absolutely a word. Way to
Yes,
go.
it is.
Like
Thank
we're
you
getting
so
our
much.
thesaurus out. We're getting our thesaurus out. But last question for you here. What does limitless mean to you?
Ooh, I love this question. Limitless means to me saying fuck it and carving your own path, getting outside of the bounds, living and thriving outside of the box that you feel like you need to be in.
I love it. Never feeling caged by the box or what people tell you got to be. That in general hits Nicholette to a T. Nicholette, how can we stay in touch with you?
Oh, the gram. Hit me up on the gram. Nicholette Hilbrich at, but it's reversed.
Amazing. We also mentioned
I'm here for it.
Get in there. We also mentioned the sprints, of course, but Nicholette does have a Keeping It Real, which is her video creation course, which I took when it was live, and I've also gotten to see what happens inside the self-paced, and it is fire. So we'll make sure to include all of these things in the show notes. Nicholette, here's to a fantastic 2023. I wish I had wine.
I know, right? Where's the champagne?
But this is going to be such a fun year for creators. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me, Jamie James. Much love.